Hi everyone, Christian here, and I'm going to break down Filipino movies across all genres. I created this series for people who just want to know the story and don't have time to watch the whole movie. But I want you to watch the movie first to support Filipino movies and appreciate the whole experience before proceeding with the breakdown, because this video contains a whole lot of spoilers. Today, I'm going to break down the movie directed by Eddie Romero. It's a 1976 Philippine period drama film set in the era of Spanish colonization in the Philippines. It's a story of a man who is naive and ignorant, but along in his journey, he met different people that later struggle him to know his real identity as a real Filipino. So, if you want to know all the main points of every scene and why this is one of the best films in the Philippines of all time, well, let's go ahead and break down Ganito Kami Noon, Paano Kayo Ngayon? Or This Is How We Were Before, How Are You Doing Now? It all starts with the funeral of the mother of this boy, soon to be a man. His name is Nicolas Ocampo, or Kulas for short. While everybody is mourning, a man named Soprano offers Kulas to sell his property along with his house. Heartbroken, Kulas continues to mourn. We transition to the house of Kulas. While cooking, he ends up burning his own house. He only manages to bring his food. Luckily, Soprano arrives with some horse. They made an arrangement. Kulas trades his property and house to Soprano's horse. Later that day, he saw some bandits heading his way. He tries to hide, and when they are gone, he saw a man who appears to be... Oh wait, he is also Padre Balaguer from Bayaning Third World. So in this movie, he is also a priest, but he doesn't introduce himself yet. He uses the horse of Kulas to travel to his place or where his church is. When they arrive, the priest deceives his fellow priest that Kulas kidnapped him, so they punish Kulas and take him back to the convent. The priest that betrayed him is, you could say, lying in bed, but just kidding, he's just laying there. But yeah, he lies to his fellow priest that Kulas really kidnapped him. But he is a good guy after all. He offers him food, but also forgives him for his sins. This is also the time he introduces himself to Kulas, that he is Padre Hill, and that he has a 6-year-old son, and the task is to deliver his son to Manila, but first, he must retrieve the boy from another place. Kulas traveled to where the place is and confronted by soldiers, but he doesn't know that he is in a war with the Spaniards, so he looked for Bindoy, the son of the priest. They acknowledge that he is not an enemy and pointed where Bindoy is. At the first meeting, you can feel their brotherhood connection to each other. Along the way, they talked to each other and saw some performers with their carts stuck beside the road. We introduced Mr. Atong. He is the manager of this group. Kulas helps them by checking both wheels, only to find some wood stuck in them. Kulas heard them saying that they are traveling to Manila, so they decided to join them on their travel. But this woman, her name is Diding. She is the daughter of Mr. Atong. She interrupts them to say that before going there, they must still perform to a different town. Kulas falls, and that is the time Kulas fell in love. Anyway, we transitioned to a performance led by the crew. While performing, Kulas got carried away by the performance of Diding and her father. He then takes the spotlight. The morning after that, they are in a river resting, and Mr. Atong is giving them speeches of what a Filipino is. He says that we Filipinos united in thought, in feeling, and in deed. But the whole crew is being irresponsible because whenever they saw a lake, they always rest. I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah. Kulas is stunned by Diding and approaches to tell her that her performance yesterday was outstanding. But Diding is not satisfied. She has this dream of being an actress famous to the whole universe. Well, guess what? She is Miss Universe 1969. Anyway, as per Kulas, well, he has none because he didn't go to school, and also he's still naive and doesn't bother of his future. Momentarily, as they travel along the way, they saw some Spanish soldiers, so they hide because the crew thinks that they are in danger. But instead, the soldiers ignore them. The crew just leaves everything behind, including their horses. When they arrive at a nearby town, they saw that the Spanish forces have been driven out by the Filipinos. The soldiers before are retreating, that's why they just ignore them. So they just rejoice that they are now finally free, but before going back to their cart, a Filipino soldier recognized their manager as Commander Fortunato Capili as a spy of the Spaniards, because before, the brother of this soldier died because Fortunato sold his brother to the Spaniards. So they arrest Fortunato and the crew. Later that evening, the Filipino soldiers investigated them and found that they are innocent. So They only took Fortunato, and as for Diding, the Filipino soldier still needs to investigate her. Yeah, they just going to take advantage of her. Kulas wants to wait for her, but Diding wants him to go, and this upsets Kulas. So, Kulas and Bindoy decided to proceed with their journey to Manila. The morning after that, they saw some Filipino soldiers along with Chinese men. The soldiers confiscated their supplies and Kulas met this Chinese man. His name is Lim. Kulas wants to know where to find Manila, but at first Lim denied him, but still, he helps Kulas and Bindoy to travel to Manila. The morning after that, they talk about that Manila is a chaotic town because different people live there at that time. From Spaniards, From Spaniards, Chinese, and Americans. Kulas is bothered because why are there no Filipinos? He remembered that Mr. Atong is always saying that Filipino born in the Philippines are the real Filipinos. Lim says that he is also a Filipino because he also was born in the Philippines. Kulas jokes about it that he clearly looks Chinese. Lim has this positive view that there is no difference between them. Whoever was born in the Philippines has no money and that life is exactly the same for each and every one of them. They finally arrive in Manila. They meet the family of Mr. Lim and proceed toward the convent of Padre Hill. But when they ask where to find Padre Hill to deliver Bintoy, they just arrest him. In the prison, Kulas observed some prisoners talking about how they treat Filipino, even if they are innocent. They just deliver them to the prison. Without knowing, another man was brought to the prison. His name is Onofre Baltao, and he has a plan to escape. Kulas doesn't even know that the people there are revolutionaries against the Spanish forces. Kulas didn't really bother, The morning after that, they released Kulas and Onofre is curious about Kulas. Kulas was sent to the office to talk to this man. His name is Attorney Tibor Lainez. He is the attorney of Padre Hill. He tests Kulas if he will say anything about Padre Hill. Kulas denied all of his questions and that's why Padre Hill chose him and was right in trusting him with Bindoy. And because of that, he is a rich man now. Later that day, they traveled to the house of Padre Hill to tell Kulas that the house is now in his ownership. Padre Hill introduces him to the housemaid named Concordia. Concordia doesn't like him because Padre Hill trusts a naive person. Padre Hill explains to Kulas his plan. First, he will give his share to the tobacco business and guide Bindoy until he is a grown man to take over the business and also live with him in Spain. And as for Tibor Lainez, he will guide Kulas in handling his business. And we see here how Bindoy doesn't acknowledge him as his father. Also, Padre Hill introduced the daughter of Concordia, Leonor. Fast forward, Kulas transformed from a naive person into a somewhat knowledgeable person. He studied and learned new things from them. After that, Padre Hill arranged a party where most of the guests are Spaniards and some are Filipinos. Tibor Lainez eavesdrops on these Spanish men. Talking about Indios at the party, they are really one of them or a Filipino at that time. I think that Spaniards once called themselves Filipinos. That should have been Castilla or Spaniards. Tibor asks Kulas if he heard what the Spaniards are saying. He says that the Spaniards think that they are the real Filipinos. So, Kulas asks who are the real Filipinos. According to Tibor, the real Filipinos are like him, who are willing to serve and accept responsibility. Kulas still don't really know that he is a Filipino himself. So Kulas just decided to go to sleep because he is now drunk. Kulas is knocked on the floor while Padre Hill and his woman stumble upon Kulas. Padre Hill is really a sinner, even if he is a priest. The next morning, the family of Lim and Kulas are having a good time with each other, and suddenly, out of nowhere, Kulas recognized someone that looks like Diding. Later, Kulas guided Bindoy to his school, but Bindoy is a hard-headed one who doesn't want to go to school. Kulas proceeds to Padre Hill to talk about Kulas and he needs to return to Spain because Americans are taking over the Philippines. Padre Hill says to him to write a letter and protect his fortune. This is the last time we see Padre Hill. Afterward, he decides to look for Diding to the place where they left her before. After asking and walking around, he stumbles with Onofre Baltao. Is now free because before he has a plan to leave the prison, right? When he saw Kulas, he says to him that he is a traitor and a soldier helps him, but Onofre kills the soldier anyway. So he chases Kulas up to this dead end only to find a theater. Kulas decides to go inside only to find Diding. Baltao also goes inside the theater, hides, and immediately leaves. The soldiers suspect Kulas that he knows the man, so Kulas decides to come with them. Kulas doesn't know any words this Spaniard is saying. He only reacts when he hears the name of his horse from the beginning named Kidlat. He only then realized that Onofre Baltao, also named Kidlat, is one of the prisoners that is with him before. Later that day, Kulas returns to Diding and sets a date with her, only to brag all of his money and offer her to marry him. But Diding doesn't like that because she still has a dream, so Kulas decides to help her instead. After the date, Kulas escorts her back to her place, but Diding doesn't want to be followed. Apparently, Kulas followed her. She is angry because she lives in a poor place, and she thinks that Kulas thinks that she wants his money. Kulas doesn't care, he only cares because Diding might fall on the stairs, and jokes about it. The next day, they approach Leines to help Diding find someone to help her achieve her dream as an actress. First, Leines declines, but when he saw the appearance of Diding, he immediately changed his mind. Leines likes her, this makes Kulas worried. Therefore, they fix Diding, giving her some photo shoots, singing lessons, jewelry, and stuff. After that, Kulas is with Bindoy. Bindoy is in a kneeling position because he is being punished by his teacher after he put some marbles in the bedroom of his teacher. They talk to each other about behaving like other good kids. Well, Bindoy also realized something, that their priest wants him to be a Filipino, so he asks Kulas. However, Kulas still don't know what is to be a Filipino. Later that day, Kulas and Leines watch Diding in her audition, but the cousin of Leines doesn't like the performance. He said that Diding should start in a small theater. Leines somewhat threatens his cousin with his business. Not really a big deal. This changes the cousin's mind. Look how his cousin is pissed. Afterward, they celebrate, drink, and dance. But Kulas don't seem to like that because Diding might not get home safely. So, he interrupts them but only to be denied by Diding. He just decides to leave them alone and go home. In his house, Kulas is heartbroken and sad. Leonor notices him, so they talk to each other. In spite of having all the things he has, he is still rather sad. Momentarily, they were interrupted by a knocking on their gate. It is Diding, saying that Leines fell on the ground while they were dancing, so they immediately go to Leines' place. Concordia is angry with her daughter but straight away comforts her because she likes Kulas. Kulas and Diding assist him to his bedroom. Leines is just drunk after all. Kulas jokes about him, Diding laughs, and right before they leave, Diding pushes him to the chair, force him to kiss her because she is drunk. That's it. They have their intimate scene right inside the bedroom of Leines. Sorry Leines, Kulas has the upper hand now. Kulas and Diding went back to Kulas' place to announce that Diding is gonna be his future wife. Fast forward to the story, Kulas and Diding enjoy the time of their lives. While enjoying, they are still in a revolutionary period between Spaniards and Filipinos. We can see to the cuts of them having a good time, and some Filipinos were taken by the Spaniards to kill because they are revolutionaries. Also a scene where Leines touches Diding. This is a hint that Leines kinda likes her, and somewhat Diding is getting bored with their relationship. In a different scene, Kulas stumbles to a kidnapper, chases him only to find that he is Mr. Atong, Fortunato Capili, the manager and the father of Diding, now a homeless man. Kulas insists on him to come with him to his house because Diding is there and she would be very happy to meet him, and that he is not dead yet because Diding thought her father is dead. They go home only to surprise Diding and again disappoint Concordia for bringing more people to the house. Concordia doesn't like welcoming people even per Kulas in the beginning. Kulas just wants to be happy in that house. Later that night, Diding is disappointed and bored. Disappointed because Kulas brings his father home. You will know why later. And bored because nothing much is happening for her inside the house. She is like a housewife there. Diding has a dream, you know. Later that evening, Kulas is awoken because Diding is gone. Kulas approaches her father to find her but decides to decline his offer because Diding might be back soon. His father is really not worried. In the morning, Kulas went to Leines to help him find Diding. But before Leines decides to change his clothes, Diding shows up only to disappoint Kulas and punches Leines in the face. Leines is not satisfied, so he arranges a fencing match between them. Well, it ends up personal and the fencing match becomes a fighting match. Kulas really is angry and tries to kill Leines, but Mr. Atong prevents him from doing that. He said to him that there is something he should learn first. Despite what Kulas did to Leines, Leines still respects him and allows him to use his cart on their way home. Later that day, Mr. Atong confesses all the lies about him and his daughter Diding. She is not his real daughter. Kulas is really disappointed. While hanging around, Kulas witnessed two men arguing with each other about being a Spaniards. Some Filipinos back then really thinks that they are one of the Spaniards, and the same for the Spaniards, thinking that they are the real Filipinos. This realized Kulas that killing people is really that easy. Even if he's just a witness, he looks like he killed someone here. Kulas realized that because of everything that happened, he can never go back to his house and to the way how he lived. Leonor wants to come but is denied by Kulas. Then the soldiers came to tell Kulas that their commander wants to talk to them. When he arrives in the prison, the commander shows Onofre Baltao, but Kulas refuses to acknowledge that he knows him. The commander is angry and throws Kulas along with Baltao. Kulas says he named like his horse, that's why he likes him, before Baltao punches him. Kulas literally threw his life here after Diding left him. Kulas and Baltao walk to another prison. While on their way, they decided to beat the soldiers to escape. Then they go to Mr. Lim's house to hide. He helps him break the chain and treat the wounds of Baltao. Kulas really feels a special connection to Baltao. Lim talked to his friends. Baltao heard them and think that they are soldiers. Baltao is always spitting words like the revolution will become successful and the Filipinos will take over. Lim just wants to help them, even if Baltao threatens their family. Kulas just there watching them. The morning after that, they begin their journey to transport Kulas and Baltao to a different place. That is also the time they are in a war with the Filipinos. But when they reach the exit to their town, they were blocked by soldiers. When the Filipinos are winning, Baltao and Kulas reveal themselves to help them. But Kulas got shot, and Lim is also got shot right in his chest. Like, why? Kulas got shot also, right? Baltao shouts at the soldiers that the Americans are there and that they are now finally free. Well, I'm sad because my favorite character in this film died. He's my favorite character because he was like the best friend of Kulas, and he is the only person that values his personality. He sacrificed his own life for his best friend. Anyway, the family is mourning, the wife is angry, so Kulas decides to leave them. While walking, Kulas faints the ground delivered to a nearby shelter, only to find that there is a new kind of race, the Americans. Kulas have no idea. He returns to his house only to find that Concordia and Leonor took over the house along with some American dude. Leonor can't help him because the American is already owning her, so they throw him outside the house. Kulas is outside walking in the street when Bindoy notices him, tells him where to find Diding. We can see that Diding is achieving her dream of becoming a known Filipino actress. Kulas again faints and dreams of Diding, but then later Kulas woke to the noise of canyons nearby. Kulas and Lainez talk to each other about everything changed when the Americans came. According to Lainez, people are difficult to understand. Before, we don't like Spaniards, we revolutionized. Then the Americans came. Even if they didn't hurt us, we put the war against them and the revolution is happening again. That is how the Filipinos act. So hard to understand, but not everybody. Unlike Visayan, they just go with the flow and accept the situation. Lainez explains to Kulas that he still has the ownership of his house, but he is unsure to his business because it might close. Also, Lainez didn't really live with Diding because he has his own wife. Diding interrupts and says that Kulas should just rest because when he finally recovers, they're going to get married soon. Diding really loves Kulas even if everything that happened. Anyway, the next scene shows Diding is singing on stage. We can see that she really achieved her dreams of becoming famous. Fast forward, Diding and Kulas again have the time of their lives. But not for long because Diding always feels not contented with what she has. Later that day, Kulas and Lainez travels to the house of Kulas to claim the ownership, but are interrupted with Concordia shouting because Leonor is dead. I don't know if she ends her own life or someone raped and kills her. Concordia is not sad. She is just disappointed. She tries to escape but got caught while Lainez slipped to the stairs. So Kulas delivers him to his house. By the way, the wife of Lainez also arrives that day. His wife decides not to treat him so that she can deliver him home with her because somebody is conflicting their marriage, and that is Diding. Lainez tells Kulas that he wasted his life to go very far, yet he doesn't really accomplish anything in life. This opens the eye of Kulas. He tells Diding that of all the people he knows, the person that he is most doubtful about is Diding. This is where the revelation begins with the both of them. Diding confesses the truth to him of what she feels for Lainez and that she really lived with him, but covers that up because she still loves Kulas. Do you remember before Diding is really bored to their relationship? Well, she really thinks of Lainez. She is really a flirtatious woman even before, right? She demands to be left behind to a soldier and ignoring his feelings. Kulas went to the school of Bindoy. Bindoy is gonna stay in the dormitory for a very long time. Kulas teaches Bindoy that if he has all the things in life, it's not enough to live because a person needs to be useful to other people to realize his worth. At this moment, Kulas realized that he really needs to do something to make up for his worth in life. He decides to go home and talk to Diding one last time. Kulas tells her that he wants to join the Filipino, so he decides to leave the house and leave Diding even if he's deeply in love with her. He wants to be more than just a person. He wants to have an impact that can change the life of a Filipino more than having nice things in life. He decided to fight for his identity and become a revolutionary. The movie ends when Kulas approaches these kids to ask what happened there. The kids say everybody's gone and Kulas asks where are the Filipinos? These kids don't have any idea. So Kulas says to them that they are also a Filipino. And that is the story of Nicolas Ocampo. The end. Whoa. Hold it right there. They are like that before. Well, today, Filipino just adapt to any situation, and now the only enemy Filipino have is ourselves. We are influenced with different country until Filipinos rule again in the Philippines. Kulas, despite everything that he has, he is still not contented because everybody is achieving their dreams but not him. From the very beginning, he really doesn't like any of the fortune or any of the nice things that they gave to him. He only wants to be loved, but the love he receives doesn't do justice. Because Diding cheated on him, Mr. Atong lied to him, Tiborlenas betrayed him, Bindoy is just a child, Leonor did not help him, Concordia doesn't like him, and Lim, the only person that gives value to him as a person, just died because of the Spaniards. But Diding redeemed herself to Kulas, but it is too late because Kulas realized many things along the way. He witnesses that he was in a war with the Spaniards and now Americans. He wants to be acknowledged as a Filipino. That's why he is going to be a revolutionary for the Filipino nation. Okay, this is a masterpiece. This movie has its own unique way of describing what a Filipino is. From the costumes, cinematography, scene, music score, dialogue, and acting. There is a reason for here and there, this and that, and I had a hard time putting this all up because I had to rewatch it over and over again. And everybody has their own opinion of this movie. I just have to break down most of its parts, so I hope that I managed to break it all up the Christian way. Well, I guess that's it for the breakdown. See you guys again in the next one. Ingat!